today's homework and then tomorrow's homework, those are the two things that you need to have done in order to not have to meet with me virtually on Friday. Now, again, done means that they need to be done at like a 70% or better. So just having half of it, please don't just copy answers. Having just half of it isn't enough. So I'm going to flip back to the front side for the people online. And then those of you guys who are here in person, if you guys have questions. Yeah, right. No, all right. How we do? Any questions, you guys?
Yeah.
Any questions? Nope. Okay. Yeah. We have a different break today, sorry. No, it actually is pretty nice, but it'll keep being nice, I promise. After spring break, it's probably going to be lovely. And
you can't promise that.
I can't promise. That's true. You're right. I guess I am. You could call my bluff. Yes, you're right. I'm
someday between now and the end of the year it'll be nice.
Yeah. Someday again we will have it out. You will. Yeah.
I love her.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I had a different break planned already, so.
Is it a math break?
It is, but it's, yeah, I know. That whole thing, learning math in math class, I know, I'm such a.
That's not necessarily a break.
Oh, sorry.
It's math.
It's different than taking notes, but we have to use time sometimes to do math, sometimes you can have regular breaks, but. Okay. So, there's a couple warm-up questions here for you guys. If you guys can try those. Solving the one-step equations. And then today we're getting into two and multi-step equations. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All of a sudden it dawned on me that I didn't have on my attendance sheet, so all right. So, solving these, and then they want you to graph them. That's that little line is for, that's not just for the answers are. So you're supposed to put that on the number line to show your solution then. So, what you guys do in letter A, yep, go ahead, Ian. You multiply by 3, because it's dividing by 3. So instead we're going to multiply each side by 3. Now I'm multiplying negative 12 by 3. Since I'm multiplying here, do I need to flip the inequality? No. Remember, it's only when you multiply or divide by a negative and the number I'm multiplying by is a positive. Even though my answer is going to be negative, I don't have to flip my inequality in this case. It's only the number that I'm moving is what I'm concerned about in terms of negatives and positives. So when we go to put this on our number line, I'm just going to, obviously I don't want to start at 0 because negative 36 and 0 are pretty far apart. But then remember, you want to go bigger. So bigger would be a negative 35, and then smaller is negative 37. What kind of circle is this one? It has that filled in circle with it. Very good. And then which way? X is what compared to negative 36? Smaller, less than, yep, smaller, so I'm going to go smaller, which is left. Okay? So, it doesn't seem like it's all that important. The number line needs to be set up correctly, so it has to go from smallest to largest. The circle has to be filled in. The arrow has to be drawn the correct way. And I do need to see your solution. So sometimes I have students that don't like showing their work and they just show me the graph. I do need to see this, so I need to see what your answer is. So then letter B, I want to get the n alone, so what are we going to do? Yeah, what's that? Divide. We're going to divide by a negative 4. Now this time do I have to flip the inequality? Yeah, because I'm dividing by a negative, so I'm going to flip the inequality. So I flip it, and it's a positive 3 because it's negative, negative. And then again, I have another filled in circle. But this time, it's saying n is greater, so we're going to go bigger. So we're going to go this way. And again, this number line, what it's showing is it's showing where all the solutions are. If you guys remember, I was talking about that with the age of a driver's license. So way down the way, we could be an old lady and get our driver's license. Way down the way, we could be, our n value could be 562, and that's still an answer that works. So anything this direction is going to work. Okay? So today we're just basically adding on to that. So it's the same steps we've been doing. It's just now we are going to have the parentheses. We are going to have the like terms to worry about. The only thing that adds to this is that multiply or divide by a negative that makes it tougher than regular equations. So again with these, we're going to start with distribute. Then we're going to combine like terms. Then we're going to add and subtract to isolate the variable. And then we're going to multiply and divide. And then we need to remember when you multiply or divide by a negative, that's when we flip the inequality. We'll talk about this today. Yes, then we're going to do some math break practice. I know it's not completely a break, but the idea, just so you guys can kind of know my idea behind this, is obviously I love taking you guys outside or doing something fun for a break. From time to time, a break using math is okay. It's just I don't want you to ever take notes the whole hour. Like, that's not going to ever be my intent. But at the same time, some days doing some practice with math, kind of like whiteboards or something like that, that is a break, in my opinion, from taking notes. It's something different. It's changing gears here. So I apologize that breaks aren't always just fun ones, but sometimes we have math we have to get done. So In example 1, this is a two-step equation, nothing tougher than we did before. It's just now, rather than having an equal sign, we're going to have the inequality to worry about. So, in example 1, what are you going to do first? What do you guys want to do to start off example 1 to get that x alone? Yeah, let's get rid of that 7. So subtract 7. Now remember, subtracting, there's no flipping of inequalities on the subtraction step. And so that's going to be 36, I believe. Whoops, I changed my inequality to an equal sign. It's probably one of the hardest things to remember just because we're so used to writing an equal sign. So it still stays greater than. Then when I go to get my x alone, what do I need to do? We're going to divide, right? Or divide by that -3. Now when I divide by a negative, that's going to flip my inequality. So I'm going to write a little note here to remind me to flip. And you don't have to write that. It's just more for my notes that I try to do that. That way if you look down for a second or someone's watching online and they're not listening to me or not hearing everything I'm saying, they would know like, oh, that's what she did in that step or that's why she did that. So I'm going to flip that. It's going to be x. It's going to flip to be less than -12. So that's our answer then. So it's flipped. 36 divided by -3 is a -12. Then I need to put that on my number line. Remember, it's got to get bigger and smaller. So especially the negatives, just getting comfortable with that. But in this case, we're going to have an open circle because it doesn't have that equal to line. So careful, number line, it goes, yep, from -13 to -11. If you wanted to show more numbers, that's fine. But now, is x bigger or smaller than -12? Smaller, so I need to go less. Less is left. So kind of getting some of those, like getting used to that and figuring those out there. So example 2 is definitely a little bit tougher. For 1, the variable's on like the wrong side of the inequality. And sometimes that's more confusing with inequalities than it is equations. So in this case, to get our a alone, what are we going to do first? To get a alone. Yeah, Justine? Yep, so move that 9 away. So -3 minus 9 is a -12. Again, I don't do any flipping of the inequalities on this stuff. Now that 2/3 of a. Again, I've talked to you guys a lot about this in terms of like what your comfort level is. You can just divide by 2/3 in your calculator. If that's what you do, that's fine. If you like doing it in 2 steps, you multiply by 3 and then divide by 2. You can multiply by the reciprocal, which I'll show you guys that just to show you one kind of a different way here. So I can multiply by 3/2 to both sides. Whatever way makes the most sense to you is fine with me. I'm not picky about how you go about solving this, but we don't flip the inequality in this case. So the inequality still faces the same way. This would be a -36/2, so -18. Now, if you still haven't figured out how to put that in your calculator, feel free to ask me as we're working. That's perfectly fine. Like at this point, I'm not testing you on fractions anymore in particular. I just need you guys to get to that answer. So whatever methods you guys get there is okay in this case. So this is a little confusing though, again, with the inequality facing the wrong way. So I'm going to put my -18 on here. And then my number line is going to make sense, smallest to largest. Again, I have an open circle. But which way is the inequality facing? Is a bigger or smaller than -18? What is it? Is it bigger or smaller? It's bigger because it's trying to eat the a. Remember, it's like a little like chompy like Pac-Man guy wants to eat the bigger value. So that means a is bigger. So then we have to go bigger than that -18. Okay? kid, there was even a Pac-Man cartoon. Pac-Man was like all the rage because that's like the only video game we had when we were. Then Frogger came out, and that was very exciting. Mrs. Miller thinks he's calling me old right now, or calling me young right now.
I'm sorry.
My parents did not allow us to have video games until later in life, like high school, because they thought it rot our brain. It was still at that like so. All right. So now this one has kind of all the steps. So we went from like medium difficulty to like tough. So just so you guys know that this one obviously is going to be a tougher problem and it's a more complicated problem here. We're going to wait on this question. So like don't answer that quite yet. But we want to solve and graph this. So using our 4 steps, what are we going to do first? What's it?
This is giving me an aneurysm.
It'll be okay. We'll do it step by step. What's our first step? We want to get distribute. Yep. So just go step by step. Once you do that, it really isn't any worse than the equations. So you guys are going to be okay. I promise. You will not have an aneurysm. Almost guarantee that. All right. What do you guys want to do next? Well, what does step 2 say? Combine like terms. So I see I have a 6x here and a negative 3x. We can combine those. 6x and negative 3x is how much? 3x. So on the same side of the equal sign, they just smush together. So this will be 3x. Now, there's like terms on opposite sides, so I'd really like to bring them together. Which variable do you suggest we move? Yep.
Add to x.
Yeah, so that negative 2x, let's make that positive. Let's move it over to the other side and add it. So I get 3x and 2x is 5x. Now this is looking a lot better. After 2-ish, 3 steps, it looks a lot more like the problem we just talked about. So no anxiety attack, no aneurysm, we're gonna be okay, I promise. All right, what are we gonna do next to get x alone?
-6.
Yeah, move that 6 over. A lot of things in life are just taking things one step at a time. Sometimes I need to take my own advice on that, because sometimes I freak out. You can ask my husband. All right, now to get that x alone, we're just going to get rid of that 5, so we're going to divide by 5. Now, since I'm dividing by a positive, I don't need to flip my inequality at all. It stays the way it is. This ends up being a negative 1. Now, I'm going to go put that on my number line. And I'm going to have a filled-in circle. I can color inside the lines there. And what's x compared to negative 1? Bigger, smaller? Bigger. So we're going to go bigger. So at this point, we look at their question. Does negative 2 work for this inequality? Is negative 2 a solution? No, because it's on that side of the dot. Anything over here, negative 1, 0, 2, all sorts of different numbers would work. So we'd say no, because the arrow's going the wrong way. So it's not actually a solution. Okay? So, let's flip the page. Let's skip example 4 for right now. Let's go to 5 and 6, and then you guys can have the break. That's not really a break. The math break.
Well, what are you doing for a break?
Okay. So, let's look at number 5. We'll come back to number 4. We can do that after break. All right, so number 5. So again, we're going to distribute. ground already, and we'll talk about it. So there's, well, yeah, so now we're like, what just happened here? This one might give you an aneurysm, I promise. No. All right, what's gonna happen now? There's negative 2k, so we wanna move it, right? So we're gonna add 2k. So those are gonna both cancel. This is one of those weird ones. So I end up with 10 is less than 1. Is that true? No. So what do you guys think the type of solution is? This is a no solution problem. There's no answer that you could ever come up with that would work for this. So if I graphed this on a number line, it would just be a blank number line. So there's no solution that works. If I could spell. So no solution at all that works. All right, that being said, let's go to the next one. That might give you a clue on what might happen there. But now that I think maybe it does work. Okay, I was a little worried that it. Okay, so we okay with no solution. And I'll tell you guys, I hated those as students. I felt like it was just like math world trying to be mean to me, but it actually, that's a thing where sometimes problems just aren't solvable. So I'm gonna distribute here. Oh gosh. All right, so I have 12 on each side. Well, I can put this 42 and 24 together, right? (42 minus 24), that 18. Okay. Now when I go to subtract 12m, this is what I end up with. Is 18 less than or equal to 18? Yes, that is true. Do you guys remember what happens when we have no variable, we have a true statement? What do we say about the solution? This is the many solutions. It's basically all solutions. So we like using the little infinity symbol. So on a number line, the whole number line would be colored in, like all of the points. Like, so you just like color across the whole number line. Okay? So those are two special cases. So what you guys are gonna do is you're gonna need to work with other people and if you want and work through these problems. Again, this is not exactly a maze, but you can go in any order you want. So you don't have to, you can move around a lot if you want. I'm gonna upload this in a second, those of you guys online.